Hello and welcome to another episode of Prague's Tour Guide. My name is Patrick, and in today's episode we'll focus on Kutná Hora. Kutná Hora was historically the second most important town in the Czech Kingdom. It was founded at the end of 13th century by Wenceslas II, the Czech king, and the reason why he founded it was because of silver. You know, in 1290s there was a silver rush, sort of like in California there was a gold rush in the 19th century, we had a silver rush in the 13th century, and there were a lot of people from miners from Germany, from all over Europe coming here with the vision to get rich fast. And in the 14th century, 1/3 of European silver production was held here already. And however, it's not the first settlement in the area. The first settlement in the area is in Sedlec monastery, not far from here. So we're now standing in Sedlec monastery, which is the oldest settlement in the area. It was founded 1142 by Cistercian monks. Cistercians, they come from a town called Citeaux in southeastern France, and most likely the monks knew about the silver in the area because it is documented that they mined surface silver. So that's probably the reason why they chose to found a monastery here. Part of the monastery is also a bone church. A bone church was a chapel from the 14th century, and it stands in the middle of a cemetery. And inside there are decorations made out of bones of 40,000 people. 30,000 of them are victims of Black Death, of plague from the 14th century. 10,000 are victims of the Civil War, the Hussite Wars between Czech Protestants and Catholics in 1420s. The decorations made out of bones started in early 16th century when a semi-blind monk, he started to pile up bones into 4 big pyramids, which we can still admire in each corner. Then a second stage of decorations were made in early 1700s by Jan Blažej Santini, and then finally the third stage was done in 1870 by a local sculptor, František Rindt, who, for example, did the beautiful chandelier in the middle of the room, which contains every single bone in human body, or he did the coat of arms of the Schwarzenberg family. Yeah, I would say that the bone church in Kutná Hora or outside of Kutná Hora is the main attraction. Like for most tourists, is the main reason why they choose to come here. So definitely don't miss it. So we're now standing inside the Church of the Assumption of Our Lady, which is the main church of the monastery, built at the end of 13th century. It's the first cathedral-style building in the Czech Kingdom. And it was burned down by the Protestants in 1421 by the Hussites. Then for several hundred years it was laying in ruins until the early 1700s when they hired a famous architect, Jan Blažej Santini, to rebuild it in Gothic Baroque style. So this church is actually a combination of 2 styles. You know, it's a unique combination, Gothic and Baroque. It's still an active church. You have services here. Yeah, here behind me you can see the chapel of Saint Christopher. And the name Christopher means Christ carrier. It's from Greek because there's a legend where Saint Christopher carried Jesus across the river. And also in the church we have 2 mummies, mummies of Saint Felix and Saint Vincent. They're a gift from a pope, Benedict XIV. He gave them to the monastery for the 600 years anniversary in 1742. They are bishops from ancient Rome. Here we can also see more bones. There are bones of slaughtered monks, slaughtered by the Protestants in 1421. So we're back in Kutná Hora. In the 14th century, Kutná Hora was the second largest and second most important town in the Czech Kingdom after Prague. And it was a source of wealth of the Czech Kingdom. A lot of the beautiful buildings in Prague, like the Charles Bridge or the St. Vitus Cathedral, were financed from silver from Kutná Hora. So very important town, so much so that even they considered making Kutná Hora the capital of the Czech Kingdom, but ultimately Prague remained the capital. The importance of the town started to deteriorate in the 16th century when the production in the silver mines started to drop. It was becoming harder and harder to mine, and also one of the reasons was that a lot of silver started to come in from South America, and that pushed down the European silver prices. So ultimately the last mine shut down at the end of 18th century. And today Kutná Hora is a quiet town with approximately 20,000 inhabitants. However, some beautiful landmarks. So first we'll have a look at the St. Barbara's Cathedral. The St. Barbara's Cathedral was founded in 1388 by Jan Parlaer, and as you can see, it's a huge Gothic cathedral. Originally it was supposed to be twice as big than the current state, and the reason why the people of Kutná Hora built it, they wanted to show off their wealth. So all these mine owners, they were very wealthy, so they wanted to show off and build a similar cathedral like the one they had in Prague, the St. Vitus Cathedral. However, it's not a seat of a bishop or anything like that. Here we can see a statue of a medieval miner. So this is how they looked back then. They were dressed all in white so they could see each other in almost complete darkness. And they would have a little lamp powered by lard. So they were burning lard. You can also see he has a pick in his hand, and he has a leather cover on his bottom, which they had because they used to slide into the mines. You know, they had a system of wooden slides to get down into the mine. The deepest mine in Kutná Hora was 600 meters deep. It was the deepest mine in Europe at the time. So here you can see how the whole church used to be painted in the Middle Ages. These blocks, they are chapels, private chapels sponsored by different people or guilds. For example, this particular chapel was sponsored by Hašplíři. Hašplíř was like a crane operator, you know, a miner that worked on the surface. We can see them here on the wall operating the crane. You know, with such a man-operated crane, they could lift up to 100 kilos of ore. Later they switched to horse-powered crane, horse gins that could bring up to 1 ton of ore. So Hašplíř was the guy operating the crane. Havíř, or miner, was the guy who worked down inside the mine. You know, in 1626, Jesuits came to Kutná Hora. They were invited here after the Battle of the White Mountain in 1620, and they rebuilt this church. So, for example, here, this is a chapel dedicated to Saint Ignatius of Loyola, who's the founder of the Jesuit order. Like here we can see a mural painting showing Saint Ignatius lying in bed. You know, he was hit by a cannonball in a battle of Pamplona. He was a Spanish soldier, and while he was recovering, he read Bible a lot, and he became very religious, and he decided to move to Rome, and he founded the Jesuit order. So here they also built a college, beautiful college, and yeah, their goal was to convert Czech people to Catholicism. So we're standing now in a medieval vineyard. Kutná Hora is a region of wine. They grow either in the city like here or outside on the hills. And also this hill is where the mines were located. So if you go like underneath Kutná Hora, there are tens of kilometers of tunnels. And one of the tunnels is still accessible today. You can tour it. It's 40 meters underground and it's 120 meters long. You enter it behind the Jesuit college and you exit down into the valley. So you can do a tour here. And also we have a beautiful view here of Kutná Hora with St. Jacob Church in the back. Yeah, now we're passing Hradek, which was a little fortress protecting Kutná Hora. Later it was purchased by a wealthy mine owner and he turned it into his private residence. Today it's a museum of silver. Now we're standing in front of St. Jacob's Church, which is a 14th century church. And it's interesting that one of the towers is missing. It was never finished because when they started to build it, it started to sink. So they stopped building it. So now we're standing in the middle in the courtyard of the Italian court. Italian court was founded in the year 1300 by Wenceslas II, and it was the royal mint. So Wenceslas II, he abolished all the other mints in the Czech kingdom and he moved them all here. So here, these little windows, that's where they minted the coins. The silver coin was called Prague groschen. It was 80% silver, 20% copper, and it was minted here from the year 1300 until 1550, so 250 years. On this section here, they used to do ore processing, so they extracted silver from the ore, mixed it up with copper, and then here they made it into coins. So this place was heavily secured, heavily protected. It was like a little fortress because all the coins in the Czech kingdom came from here. In the late 14th century, Wenceslas IV, he decided to make this also the king's residence. When he visited Kutná Hora, he would stay here. So here you can see this is what used to be the royal palace in Kutná Hora. In 1550 we switched to another coin called Joachim Thaler, which was made in Joachimthal, Jáchymov in Czech, which is a town close to the German border in Western Czech Republic. And Joachimthal means Joachim Valley in German. And this currency, Joachim Thaler, was quite popular. So other currencies around Europe start to be called thalers as well. And the Dutch call it the dollar. And the Dutch, they introduced this coin to the New World, you know, in New Amsterdam, which later became New York, and the 13 colonies adopted this coin, dollar. So that's why you also pronounce it dollar, which is the Dutch pronunciation of Thaler. You know, in German, Tal means valley, so Thaler is a valley currency, and the origin of dollar is in the Czech Kingdom in the 1500s. In the year 1713, Kutná Hora was hit by another plague, and when it was over, they built this column with Virgin Mary on top to say thank you that the plague is over. You can also see there are 4 miners holding the column. Yeah, here we can see a beautiful late Gothic house from 1495, built by rich citizens of Kutná Hora, and today it's a museum of silver. So you can imagine how beautiful this whole town was back in the day. Yeah, here we can see a water reservoir that was built in 1497. The date is actually written on the wall there. And notice how 4 is written differently. They actually, in the Middle Ages, they wrote it as half of 8. And this water reservoir was supplied with water that came from several kilometers distance. It was brought here by a wooden tunnel. The reason why they couldn't use local wells is because all the water was full of arsenic. So they had to bring water from several kilometers distance. So this is the end of our tour of Kutná Hora. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. You can also hit the like button if you like the tour. And as always, if you'd like to book a tour in person, either with me or one of my colleagues, you can go to our website, lucytours.com. So thanks again. And now me and my brother, we're going to have a pint of a fine local lager in Dačický restaurant, which is a local medieval restaurant. So have a good one.